let's say that there is a software developer that always wanted to build their own product, right?
Yeah.
And they want to do the audience first approach, but they have no audience. So how do you start? Like, what are the first steps?
Yeah. Okay. So the most important thing, I kind of hinted at it already just now saying this about software engineers. You don't have to solve problems for software engineers. You can solve problems for anybody else out there. It's not just software engineers, even though you think that might be the perfect audience because you understand them so well because you're one of them. Doesn't mean that you're limited to solving problems for other software engineers. And that's kind of what I talk about in the Embedded Entrepreneur. That's essentially what the book starts with. It's this guide, this step-by-step guide to figuring out who else you could be serving beyond the group of people that comes up first in your mind if you think about who should I help, right? Because if you're a software engineer, you want to help software engineers. If you're a marketer, you want to help other marketers. If you're a teacher, you want to help other teachers. But it's not the only thing you can do. So what I describe in the book, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown here, you and the audience right now, is you try to figure out what potential audiences you could be serving. And that's a brainstorming activity. It's kind of think about anybody who out there that is a group of people that have shared problems, shared interests, shared goals that are essentially establishing communities around these goals, these interests, these practices, and write them down. And I'm just going to go through this exercise right now for myself because that's the easiest way for me to do it. I'm sitting here in my office, surrounded by quite a number of computers that I use for my coding, right? I'm a software engineer, so I write down software engineer. I also look at, software engineer is quite the generic kind of description for what a lot of different people do as very different activities. So I write down the kind of sub audiences that I have in software engineering. I'm a front-end engineer sometimes. I'm a back-end engineer sometimes. I'm a mobile engineer sometimes. Sometimes I build software infrastructure. I'm a DevOps engineer. Sometimes I do database stuff. So I'm a database administrator. I write down front-end engineer, back-end engineer, infrastructure stuff, database administrator, whatever. So now I have 5 little things that are just audiences from the thing that I know professionally the best. Then I look at what else am I doing here. I'm a writer. So I write down writer. I write down nonfiction author because I write nonfiction books. I don't write stories about people. I write instructional content. But I also write down fiction author because that's something interesting. Came out in my brainstorming session. I noticed that I could also be helping fiction authors, right? Fiction authors.
So these are things that you're already doing.
Exactly. I can write down all of these little audiences, and that's what I'm currently doing at this moment. Now, I'm going back through my life and just looking into the other experiences that I had, professional or non-professional. I used to work in a printing business. Like I used to work for a print shop. So I write down print businesses. I used to work for a factory where they vacuum painted some kind of what was it, like a car utilities or something. I write down my experiences that I had in professional businesses, all of them. I put them in a list, and I look into my professional experiences with other people. In running my the business with my partner, we had to talk to tax advisors. We had to talk to lawyers. We had engaged with them, and we've seen that they had certain problems in their interaction with us that we could probably have made easier with a tool or two. So I'm writing down tax advisors. I'm writing down lawyers and notaries. Now I look at my partner. Danielle, she was an online English teacher. She's an opera singer. Now I look into her family. We have plumbers, we have nurses, we have construction workers, we have mail delivery people. I'm just looking into my own family at this point too. We have people who are working, who are students. They're studying at a university. People who are working as secretaries in an office. And then I look into my friends and family. I have gym owners. I have, I'm just going into like all the people I know, and I write down what they do professionally and what they like doing as a hobby.
But now you have thousands of communities. Yeah. So how do you pick the ones you actually want to work at?
That's the next step. In the book, I go through each of these communities and I start ranking them because you want to find a community that you really enjoy. You want to find a community that has interesting problems. You want to find a community that pays money to solve their problems. And you want to find a community that is large enough for you to start a business, but not so large that there's already gigantic businesses with gigantic budgets in there. So that's the 4 steps that you would go through for each of these communities, and you give them a ranking. Somewhere between 0 to 5 or 0 to 10, whatever floats your boat, however granular you want to be. You look at each of these things, you put them in an Excel sheet or in a list somewhere, and you go through what I call affinity. How much do I like this, right? I look at software engineers, and I have a scale from 0 to 5, and I say, okay, I do like software engineers, but like I already said, they love solving their own problems. So as a business, they probably score a 4 or a 3 on my 0 to 5 kind of scoring there. Then I look at entrepreneurs, and I give them a pure 5 because I love helping people build businesses. I look at writers, pure 5. I want to help more writers or more maybe entrepreneurial writers build their own writing habit. And then I look at tax advisors, and I give them a 1. Because I really am not a fan. I mean, it's they do their job, and it's important to have taxes and stuff, but I don't want to spend the next 10 years of my life working with people who love taxes. It's really not my thing.
And I think that's a very good exercise too, right? So to see if you actually love something or are passionate about something is to do this exercise where you think about, can I work in this product for the next 10 years? Or 15
that's one
years.
of the most important things to do right from the start, which is why I start with it, right? If you see an audience, no matter how much money you could be making building a business for them, if you hate building a business with these people, if you hate having a customer service conversation because you just don't relate with these people, you're not going to have a good time building a business. You better build a business for people that you can actually resonate with. And that's the thing. I'm a software engineer. Like, you would think that the people that I resonate with most are software engineers, but they're not. Like, I resonate much more with writers than I do with software engineers, even though software engineers are writers too. They just write for a computer, right? They give instruction to a computer, while a nonfiction writer gives instruction to people.